you what's been on my mind. Sick and tired of the 9 to 5 in the city life. Hey darling, we could get out of town, see the beautiful world around, wanna see it now. Pack our bags and get in that car, leave a little note and we'll drive real far. Let's get out, we can leave this city. Let's drive to...
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Farm and Pastor's Wife. I'm so glad you're here. Today's video, I don't know how it's going to go because I have a puny little grandson here that just wants to be held. So we're going to try in between, maybe during naps, we're going to try to get this video made. But today, you won't see the actual finished process or product. We're actually going to put it in the freezer, and you'll have to come back on Sunday's video, Sunday's weekend wrap-up, to see how we finish up this meal. But right now, I'm going to go sit and hold my sweet baby, and this is little Levi. Judah is also here. He's not feeling well either, but he's a little bit better than this one. So I'm going to sit and hold him for a few minutes, and once he takes a little bit of a nap, we will get up and get this video made. Or once Papa gets here and can hold him, we'll get this video made. So, all right, we'll see you guys in just a second when I get this all together. Hey, if you're new here, welcome. You're going to see all sorts of things on this channel, mostly cooking, some farming, some ministry, some little boys, some loving on little puny boys. And so, yeah, you get it all here. So welcome. We're so glad to have you. Be sure you hit subscribe, hit that bell notification, give me a thumbs up, and tell me where you're watching from. So, and if you're not new here, welcome back. You guys know how much I love you. So, okay, I'll meet you back right here. If I get a chance, I'm going to chop some onion, one whole onion, and I'll meet you back here after I get that chopped up. Well, everyone, I'm having to do a voiceover here because it appears I had failed to turn my mic on. And so what I'm doing is I have a Dutch oven, and over there is a pot of water for the pasta. I have my Dutch oven here that I'm going to saute up some button mushrooms that I had washed and sliced really well. And it's probably 16 ounces maybe of mushrooms. And so I have sliced them up and washed them, and we're going to just in the 2 tablespoons of oil, we're going to saute those up to get those going. I did have to add a little bit more oil, which you'll see in a little bit. But once I put the lid on, the juices started to release, and it was fine. So yes, I had 2 puny little boys, one worse than the other. Poor Levi just felt horrible, and he wanted me to hold him all day. So me getting in here to do this was quite the miracle. And I'm telling you guys something here. I don't know. Oh, I'm explaining. If you see a mess in my kitchen, please ignore it, because I do have puny little boys. I have some groceries I haven't put up and so forth. So I'm just apologizing for any mess you may see in my kitchen. And I am adding a little bit more oil to those mushrooms. They'd soaked it up quite quickly, but they eventually sauteed down, and I was able to add in 2 chopped onions. These were 2 fairly small onions. So 1 good medium to large onion would be perfect. I just diced them up, and I'm adding them in, and we're going to saute those in right there with the mushrooms for about 3 to 5 minutes until soft. And while those are sauteing, I'm going to go over and chop up some garlic cloves, whole garlic cloves. Go figure, I had actual garlic cloves, no less. And I think I'm telling you, I have the whole cloves, not in a jar. I'm going to process them up and have them able to use. But today I'm just going to take the 4 cloves and mince them up nicely, and we'll add them in. And now I believe my mic is about to start working. Here's my mic was not on for the first part of this video. So with that being said, let's add in our minced garlic. Let me get you guys turned down. I'm sure I've done a voiceover and I apologize. So we're going to just get that garlic going, and then we're going to remove this from the pot. We're going to let that garlic stay in there for a couple of minutes, and then we're going to remove all of this, and then we're going to make our kind of our creamy sauce. Got some more garlic on my hands here. Get in there. All right, I'll bring you back in just a little bit. Okay, everyone, I'm just removing these mushrooms. I'm actually going to turn the burner down while I get them out. So I'm removing the onions, the garlic, and the mushrooms. I have 4 cups of chicken already shredded up. You can definitely boil your chicken. You can roast your chicken, whatever. I just happened to have picked up a rotisserie chicken the other day at Sam's, and it was a great use for it. So I just shredded it off the bone. I've saved the carcass along with the whole chicken I cooked the other day in my Ninja, whatever, pro cooker thing. The thing like a crock pot, but does so much more. All right. So to this, we're going to add about 4 to 5 tablespoons of butter. And turn the burner back on. Once that's melted, we'll add some flour. Okay, guys, to this butter, I'm adding a heaping, because I use probably closer to the 5 tablespoon mark of butter. I'm going to add a heaping 1/3 of a cup of flour. Now, this is not my recipe, and I will link where I got it, and it will have the actual recipe. I always do a little extra because my family eats a lot, and we like leftovers. Isaac takes leftovers home with him. Caroline usually takes her lunch home with her the next day. So I always I don't necessarily double a recipe, but I oftentimes enlarge a recipe. I'm going to be checking my mic all day now that I've realized I had it off. So I have between 2.5 to 3 cups of chicken broth here, and once this gets nice and browned, because you want this flour to cook, you want it to come to a nice brownness, almost a not quite a caramel brown, but lighter. I mean, darker than this, but not a little bit lighter than a caramel brown. So, and you see those brown bits at the bottom of my pot. I don't know if you can see them. I know you can see them over here on the side. When we add in the chicken broth, that will just deglaze that right off. But right now we are just cooking this flour and getting it nice and toasty brown. I'm going to go ahead and cut my water on for my pasta. And once it comes to a boil, I'll add a nice heaping helping finger full of salt, because you want to. That's the only time you get to season your pasta is when it's cooking in the water. All right, so I'll bring you back once it's nice and golden brown. Okay, guys, it's nice and toasty brown, kind of an almond color, I guess. So I'm adding in that chicken broth, and I'm going to give it a nice stir. Let me grab some lemon juice. Lemon juice for some brightness. And I've turned the temperature down just a little bit. Be sure I got all that out. And we have about 1.5 cups of half and half going in. All right, let's go in with our half and half. And now is when we want to salt, pepper, and that's really all we're going to season it with. Maybe some oregano in just a minute, but let me grab my salt and pepper. All right, so we're going to add a nice little pinch of pepper. I like things peppery, so you do it to your taste. Not only do I like things peppery, but I like things salty. So we're going to add a nice helping of salt. And we're going to give this, I am dying to put some Parmesan cheese in this, but the recipe does not call for it. So I think what I'm going to do is, instead of putting the Parmesan cheese in here, is I'm going to grate some up and we'll have some on the table. Now remember, I am making this to freeze, and we will eat it on Sunday, or it'll be on Sunday's video. It'll probably be Saturday when we eat it. But okay, I'm just going to let this simmer a little bit. Then we're going to add our chicken and our mushrooms and our onions back in here and wait for our pasta to get done. All right, so it is nice and thick, and I'm not letting it get completely thick because, like I said, we're going to freeze this. And so there's some time in the freezer, there's some thawing time, and so we're just going to let this be as is, but it is nice and thick and beautiful. So, all right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add our mushrooms in. Our mushrooms, onion, and garlic, we're going in. I'm going to grab our chicken out of the fridge. I shredded that chicken up last night. And before we add our chicken in, let's give this a little bit of a taste to see if it needs more salt or pepper or whatever. More salt and pepper. All right, now let me grab our chicken. This is mainly the white meat of a rotisserie chicken. I did add some thigh meat in here as well. So we're going to add that in, and I'm actually going to stir that in nicely. And I left them in fairly nice sized chunks. That's what I like in this thing. It's usually things like quesadillas, burritos, tacos, stuff like that I like it finely shredded. But in things like this, or chicken and dumplings or whatnot, I like it fairly chunky. I like it like me, chunky. So, all right, let's we're just going to let that sit, hang out. I'm going to read the recipe, make sure I have included everything I needed. Wait for my water to come to a boil, and I'll salt it, and then we'll get our pasta in. If you were baking this and doing this right now, you would have your oven preheated to 350. You could leave it in your Dutch oven. If you have a Dutch, whoops, sorry guys. If you have a Dutch oven, you can leave it right like this. Add your pasta in once it's done and top it with mozzarella cheese and just bake it right in this. But I'm putting mine in a 9x13 and into the freezer. So I'm going to fix it just like I would. And yeah, so anyway, and we'll bake it at a later time. But I was going to say, you don't have to put this in a 9x13. You can bake it right in a Dutch oven if your Dutch oven is oven safe. Okay, so I'm going to add some parsley to this. A nice tablespoon, heaping tablespoon. There's Judabug.
How do you spell spaghetti?
S-P, S, and then P. All right, guys, this is ready. I'm going to taste it again. I'm going to get a little piece of chicken with that gravy on it. P. But you got to clear the Sonic out. All right, let's give this a try. That's good. Guys, I cannot help myself. I just think it needs that little bit of bite that you get from some Parmesan cheese. So I'm not going to get my cheese grater out. I'm going to use this rasp. And I'm just finally grating up some Parmesan cheese. I got this lovely wedge, and we're going to use it. I'm not going to put much. I'm going to put maybe 1/4 of a cup or whatever, just to give it that nice little bite. I don't know if this rasp is working as what I want it to do, but I mean, it's shredding, but it's taking forever. So I didn't want to get out my cheese grater. All right, so we're going to give this a try. We're going to add a little bit of this Parmesan cheese in there, and it's going to give it a delicious, I know it's just going to make it over the top. We will top it with mozzarella, but I'm going to let everything cool down first. I want to taste this Parmesan. My goodness. That is good. All right, I'm going to keep doing this Parmesan. I'll let you see what I'm doing. I'm using a rasp, and I know it's not the right thing, but hey, it's getting it really finely shredded, which is what I want. And I don't have to get out my cheese grater. And it's not that my cheese grater is hard. I think part of the handle part has gotten pushed to the back. And that means I'm going to have to move a bunch of stuff to get it out. It's not the cheese grater that's the problem. It's my cabinet that's the problem. All right. So I think this is about all I'm going to add. I think that's a nice, healthy amount. And that'll just give it a nice, salty bite. I think that's going to be delicious. All right, guys, I'm going to add this in. I'll see you back when the pasta's ready, or when at least the pasta water's ready. Okay, everyone, we're going to add a nice big helping of salt to our pasta water. And let me talk about the pasta. The recipe called for linguine, but I found spaghetti at a good price at Sam's. And so that's what we're getting. It's not that much difference. I mean, it's just a little bit, linguine is a little bit smaller than spaghetti, I think. It may be bigger, I don't know. But anyway, I don't know. But I know it's very close. So we're just going to use a pound of spaghetti noodles. In the perfect world, I would have made my own pasta. I know how to make my own pasta. I love making my own pasta. But I have this spaghetti to use. I also have little boys here today, so we're not going to make the mess of making my own pasta. All right, guys. As soon as this pasta is done, we will add it to our sauce. Now, in full transparency, I did leave the recipe, but that's how I roll. That's what I do. I felt that the sauce needed a little something, so I did add some oregano and some basil, Italian type seasonings, and I did add a couple of slices of crumbled bacon. Full transparency here, I did leave the recipe a little bit, you know, I veered from it just a little bit, but I did something that I knew my family would like, and that's what cooking is all about. Please don't ever let anybody tell you to get trapped in a box to having to follow a specific recipe. Those recipes are there for inspiration, and then you can just go with it the way you want to. So we're going to cook this pasta, and we'll be back in just a little bit. So let me tell you, I just retasted it, and the smokiness from that bacon set it over the top. Guys, I am going to just add the spaghetti noodles as soon as they're done to this. Stir it up. I'm going to pour it in a 9 by 30. There they are. All right, guys, let me get my noodle, and I'm just going to leave it right here. I'm not going to strain them. I'm just going to scoop because I probably can use a little bit of the water that drips off into this to kind of thin that gravy up just a little bit. If your gravy gets too thick, you can always add, like I'm doing, saving the pasta water in case I need to add it. But if you're cooking it right away, which is ideal, way I'm doing it's not ideal, but I wanted to get these videos and then us have a big family meal with all these things that we're tasting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this pasta in here. I'm going to get it stirred up, poured in the 9x13 dish, and topped with lots of mozzarella. I'll show you the finished before I freeze it. I'll show you what it looks like at the end of this video. But I have a puny little boy who wants his bubbles to hold him. So I am going to finish this up right here. I'm going to stir it up real good. And if I need to add if I need to thin it up any, what I can do is add some pasta water because the starch in the pasta water gives it, you know, some stability. It'll thin it but not make it watery. There's enough starch in that pasta water. All right, guys, I think this looks absolutely amazing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour this up into the 9x13. I'm going to let it cool before I add the mozzarella. But once I add the mozzarella, I'll take a picture, show you that at the end, and then we'll wrap it up good and freeze it. Now, once I freeze it and everything, I want you definitely to come back to Sunday's video, the weekend wrap up, where you'll see our family have an Italian feast of biscotti, tiramisu, an Italian salad, hopefully focaccia bread, and this chicken tettrazini. I think it's going to be absolutely amazing. Now, since I am freezing it, I am going to add a little bit of the pasta water just because these noodles are al dente. They're not mush. So there's a nice firmness to the noodles. So I am going to add a little bit of the pasta water just to ensure that it doesn't dry out. All right. Okay, guys, so I will bring you back briefly when I show you what it looks like with the mozzarella cheese on top and in the 9x13 dish. Now, it won't be baked because we'll still have to bake it, but I will bring you back shortly. We're going to let it cool because I don't want to freeze it hot, so I'm going to let it just sit right here and cool. And I'm going to go hold my little boy. So I'll bring you back in just a little bit. Okay, everyone, here is the finished product. I think I have decided to wait until the day we eat it to put the cheese on it, but it would be totally fine to go ahead and put the cheese on it now and freeze it. Totally fine. But I'll have plenty of cheese that night, so I think I'm just going to set it out that morning. But I'm going to freeze it. But first, it's ready to eat now. So let's give it a taste test real quick. It doesn't have the cheese on it, but that's okay. Okay, everyone, let's try this. I mean, I've already been nibbling, so I already know, but I cannot tell you what adding those few little strips of bacon has done to that. It has just elevated it. It gives it such a smokiness and a depth. So good. You definitely need to add the bacon. That may not be traditional and it may not be authentic or whatever, but it is so good. So, all right, I'm going to cover this up with saran wrap. I'm going to cover that up with tin foil, and I'm going to place it in the freezer. Now, the day we have our meal, I'll set it out that morning and just let it thaw all day. Get it ready to go in the oven. Put 1.5 cups of mozzarella cheese on top. and just bake it till it's golden goodness. And we are going to have, let me tell you what we're going to have that day. So you come back all week, because we're going to have videos all week. We're going to have the biscotti that I made the other night. So if you've missed that video, be sure to go check it out. We're going to have the chicken tettrazini. We're going to have tiramisu. Hopefully we're going to have focaccia bread. And we're also going to have a big Italian salad. Now, there is a bonus video. Somebody who watches my channel sent me another pasta dish that we may add in here. I don't know what day that will get added in, but it'll get added in at some point. It actually would be something really good for me to make for these puny little boys today. So I don't know, but we'll see. But right now I'm going to take one more bite of that and then get it all tightly sealed up and put in the freezer. And I'll see you back tomorrow. No, I won't see you tomorrow. I'll see you Thursday. Tomorrow is Wednesday, and it is also mine and Bryant's 26th anniversary. So we are excited to spend the day together tomorrow. I may have a little boy tomorrow. I think the other one will be okay to go to school tomorrow. But Levi may be home with me again tomorrow. So it may be me, Papa, and Levi on our anniversary. So that's okay. And then we'll go to church tomorrow night. All right, guys, I will see you next time. Thank you for joining me. Don't forget to come back. It is probably going to be the Sunday weekend wrap-up video that it comes out on, but our big Italian feast meal that we're going to have as a family. I'm super excited, and I'll see you back Thursday. Remember, if the grease is hot enough, you can fry anything. Bye, y'all.